Some of us are serving the Lord Jesus in Asia,
in Africa,
in South America,
in North America,
in the Middle East,
in Australasia,
in Eastern Europe,
in Western Europe,
in vast cities,
in quiet villages.
Some of us are serving in dynamic places.
Some of us are serving in deprived places,
in dangerous places.
Some of us are serving overseas as cross-cultural missionaries.
Multicultural churches in our cities.
Some of us serve in the care home.
In the crash.
Some of us are still young.
Some of us are getting on a bit now.
Some of us are serving the farming community.
Some of us serve in the forces.
In sports ministry.
In prison ministry.
Addiction ministry.
Some of us are serving in youth ministry.
What unites us
is the truth of the Lord Jesus,
revealed in His Word,
and our desire to use the time He has given us
to make an impact
for eternity.
For more than 20 years, Christianity Explored Ministries has been working to equip believers in Jesus to share their faith by opening up the Bible. We believe that when people read God's Word, His voice is heard and lives are changed forever. We are continuously developing materials, tools for the global church to grow confidence in Scripture and to help Christians love, live, and tell this glorious good news that is for everyone, everywhere. So why not take us along for the journey?
Good evening and welcome to Love, Live, Tell. It's just fantastic to see people here in person again. It's a real thrill to be able to meet with you. When we started planning this, Omicron was just hitting and we thought, are we going to be able to meet here? Thankfully, we are. So wonderful to see you all here, but wonderful also to know that there's a very significant audience joining with us online as well. So it's fantastic. It really is. So I guess it's the first time. You know, a few years before COVID, we were broadcasting, we did some sort of online feed, but it feels as though it's the very first time that we've been able to speak to two audiences at once. So we're really looking forward to it. You'll have seen from that film that the people who use our resources do so in all sorts of different situations. And some of them will have been using our resources for many years, some will only just have started. And in the same way tonight, people will have come here from all sorts of different places and are tuning in from everywhere. And some will be here for the umpteenth time, and those who have been coming for many years, it's fantastic to have caught up with one or two of you already. But some will be here for the very first time. And if that is you and you're here in person for the very first time, please do come and say hello either to me or one of the rest of the team. I've already met people who've come up from Bude, so if you've come from farther than Bude in Cornwall, then please do, you will then have the record for the evening. So please do make yourself known. It'd be lovely to get to know you a little bit better. And for those of you who are online, Daisy is up there. She's going to be reading all your comments when they come in, so please do send them along, and I'll really look forward to seeing them tomorrow when I have a chance to catch up with them. One person, significant person who's here for the first time is our new UK National Director, Kay Carter. And most of you, I guess, know that our ministry's been growing for many years. And we've been thinking and praying about the best way in which we could move forward. And so the decision we came to was that we would take on somebody to run the UK side of things, which would include developing all our products. And that would allow a few of the others of us who have been around for a little while to spend a bit more time doing the international work. So we're going to be looking at those two different elements of the work separately this evening. We're going to look at the UK first, and then we'll talk about the international work a little bit later. So what I want to do is drag Kay up here, and so you can come and get to know her a little bit better. So Kay, come and join us. And we want to know a little bit about you. Perhaps start with how you came to know about Christianity Explored. What was your first experience of us?
First experience of Christianity Explored was quite a long time ago when I first graduated. A friend of mine that I'd been to university with got taken along to a Christianity Explored course. Not by me, I have to say. Although I'd been talking to him at university, he didn't seem very receptive, I've got to be honest. But he agreed to go to this Christianity Explored course, became a Christian there, and is now my husband. So I'm indebted to Christianity Explored. And then when we got married, we went along to St James Church, Clerkenwell. I think we've got Andrew Bourne, who was the vicar then, in the audience with us tonight. And of course, you can't go to Andrew's church without running Christianity Explored. So that's what we did. So that was my first experience.
Okay, and work background, you've had quite a varied, is that the best way of putting it, work experience? So my background is mainly in media, so I worked in print media for most of my career. I did quite a long stint on the Sunday Times as a sub-editor. I'm also quite interested in politics, so I had a brief period working in Parliament for the all-party parliamentary group on international freedom of religion or belief. So try saying that after a late night. So a bit involved in politics. I would say the thread is a sort of a communications thread. I've tended to do roles that are communications focused. So this is a dream job for me because there is nothing more important to communicate than the gospel. Okay, and you joined us in May, so that's what, May? 8 or 9 months? Yeah. Dare I ask how it's been? Can you give me an honest answer? It's been fantastic. I mean, you guys will know, many of you have been on the journey with Christianity Explored for many years. It is an amazing team. It is such a privilege. And when I think of the Christianity Explored team, it's not just the staff, it's the trustees and the supporters and the donors and everyone who uses it. It feels like a real family, and it is a real joy to be part of it. Okay. Well, we are delighted to have you, Kay. We really are. Do you want to take it on from here and I'll come back later? Please do. Okay. Thank you. So I was going to start by saying welcome to Love, Live, Tell, and then I thought, actually, I'm a newbie, and most of you, or many of you, will have been many times before. So I'll start by saying thank you for having me at Love, Live, Tell. It's been lovely to run into a few of you before it started. There are various names have been coming up over the past sort of 9 months. And they'll go, oh, you'll meet them at Love, Live, Tell. So I've started to do that, and it's been lovely. If I haven't yet spoken to you, I have to give you fair warning. You are in my sights, and I'm going to come and try and find you and have a conversation. Those conversations, I think there's two reasons I want to do that. One is personal. I want to meet the people who make Christianity Explored Ministries possible. But the other is practical and linked to the two things that I want to focus on in 2022. And the first of those things is reaching new audiences for our resources. And in particular, I want to think about how we reach younger users of our resources. And the reason for that is well, you know, people age, don't they? You know, it's irritating of them, but it is what people do. So the people 10 years ago who were 20-year-old young users are now 30, and we need to sort of, if we want to have 20-year-old users still, we need to go and talk to them. So engaging with new and particularly younger audiences is one of the focuses. And indeed other audiences, anybody who wants to to speak about their faith clearly and biblically, I want them to know that we stand ready to serve them. So that's the first priority. The second equally important priority is to serve well the people who are already using our resources. And of course, that's equally important. We've all seen organisations that have run after new audiences and forgotten their existing user base. And that's the opposite of what we want to do. So those are the two focuses. We want to enlarge the tent, but people who are in the tent, we want to be happy campers. So that's the two focuses. And therefore, I want to have these conversations with you. I want to understand your experiences. I want to understand how evangelism is going for you, what you find helpful about the resources, what you would like to see coming down the line, all of those things. So given that, and given that there's, I don't know, like 130 people in this room, and you're essentially trapped, let's be honest, it would be remiss of me, wouldn't it, not to ask you a few questions. And we've got, I don't know how many on the live stream, but we've got lots. You are also in our sites on the live stream. We're going to ask you some questions this evening, okay? And we're going to do that by doing a live poll. I don't know if you've done one of these before. There's going to be a website where we will have questions, and you'll be able to get out your phone and answer the questions.
When the time comes, we're going to do it a little bit later. I'm going to be getting Jubi de Silva, our product development manager, to come and help me. I have to warn you, Jubi is really excited about this. I'm not, I'm terrified. I'm terrified the tech isn't going to work. So we're going to do a little rehearsal. We're going to do a little test. So can everybody get out your phones, please? Right, so up there you should be able to see we've got a QR code, little square thing. Now, you should be able to find our live poll just by scanning the QR code with your camera. If it's a while since you cleaned your camera lens, what you can do is go to slido.com and enter in the code 123647, and you should be able to see our live poll. Have we all done that? I'm glad to see you're getting your phones out. Thank you. Phil, can we bring up the poll question? There we go. Now, this is just a test. Oh, thank you. We've started already. Thank you. This is just a test. So we're just asking you, where do you live? Hopefully that's a straightforward question for everybody. It doesn't matter. You don't have to put the right answer in. Don't worry. You won't derail the cause of international evangelism if you put Mayfair and you really live in Margate. So thank you. Look at that. Thank you. Oh, Wilmsley. That's near where I live. Thank you so much. There we go. See, easy. And little faith. Me of little faith. The tech works. That's fine. We can close that now, Phil. Thank you so much. So we're going to be coming back to that later. So be ready to whip your phones out again later. But now we're going to carry on and we're going to do a bit of an update on the work of Christianity Explored. So I'm going to call Craig Dyer, who is our training director. Sorry about that, up to join me. And we're going to find out a little bit about what we've been doing in 2021 and what we will be doing in 2022.
That's exactly right. We're going to have Christine and Rico join us just presently. But as they come up, let's have a look at a little clip. Our team went out and asked people on the street where they located hope. Have a look at this as Christine and Rico join us on the couches. Thank you.
I don't know, like looking at the future.
My grandchildren, family.
Good vibes, good people around of me, always being positive. Food sometimes is weird kind, but yes, food makes me feel good as well.
I don't know, really know. Nothing particular, but my experience in life makes me hopefully everything went well.
There you go. Thank you so much. Yeah, so there are a few people there not quite sure what gives them hope, but Rico, I think you've got some ideas about what gives us hope, haven't you? Tell us about hope. Tell us about Hope Explored. Tell us, what it's about.
Okay, I think the first thing is I can't believe we filmed it. When I look back at the last year, the number of times that my diary to go to Ireland got cancelled. So Ali Gledhill's at the back there. Ali, just thank you for organising it endlessly. He hates being mentioned publicly, so he'll never speak to me again, but you were amazing in sorting out, just pulling the product together during lockdown. And the people who initiated it were Carl and Rachel at the Good Book Company. They came with the idea, so again, so grateful for them. But I'm just thrilled we got it out to people, and just look back and think, Lord, you opened the door for it, so thank you so much.
So tell us what's different about Hope Explored compared with the other courses and just the content, what's in it?
Well, I think the key thing is, you will know, it's 3 weeks. So you can stand up at Christmas or Easter as the pastor at the church and just go, we've got 3 weeks, why not come back and look at it? And that sounds much more accessible than 7 weeks or 10 weeks. So I think that's one thing. Secondly, post-COVID, with 5 million people agonizingly dying around the world, death is a salient issue. People believe it's real. So it's the right title and it's the right length of time. And so I think both those things were huge.
So why do you think it's timely for 2022?
I think that the content of it, which is felt needs, and then facts, and then fulfillment. Craig was the one that got us those three. I think the felt needs, to begin evangelism with the felt needs, unashamedly we do that. We say, I mean, my godfather was killed in a cliff fall in 1982, and I woke up to the reality of death, and I felt that the last 2 years. We start with a little clip that really goes into that. In terms of, again, you know, as we look back, peace. When I speak at carol services, the felt need that people have got of how am I going to get through Christmas if I can't forgive, that comes again and again. And then purpose, coming out of the resurrection, it's not just that we have an eternity, it's now everything we do matters. That's the concluding verse of 1 Corinthians 15. He says, because of the resurrection, nothing you do is in vain. Everything matters. And so those three issues, the felt needs we begin Hope Explored with, I think really dig into where people are. Then, of course, we do the facts of the resurrection. We do the facts of Jesus' life. So we do 3 days of his life. We do the day that he flattened the storm and he raised a dead girl, the day that he died, the day that he rose, and really get those in place. And then fulfillment, we say, look, here's the Old Testament story. Here's Isaiah 9, verse 6. Here he is fulfilling it. Surely we can then trust him for the future. And again, I think that string of pearls, all those things, I think, connect.
So give us a bit of a flavour about what a session's like. How does an evening typically work?
Well, we come in with a grabber and unashamedly an opening film that says, you know, go for the felt needs. So, you know, don't you long for peace internally and with other people? Don't you long for purpose? What do you do about hope? So that's the first little film. Then, I mean, these maybe you've seen these little cards. We then go for what's your worldview? So we have 4 little different interpretations on what's your view of peace? When you think of peace, where does your mind go to? Or what's your view of hope? Where do you, in terms of what's happening in the history of the world? Is it going round and round? Is it getting better? Is it getting worse? Is it just chaos? So we try and get people to think about worldview. Then we get the facts of Jesus' life, Luke 8, Luke 19, Luke 23. We do the life, death, and resurrection. And then we do fulfillment. So the Bible study are these passages that actually really reveal that Jesus is the one that was promised, and here he is. And what are you going to do about that? So we have that evening that really keeps trying to dig out people's worldviews and show them that Jesus is the one that can really give them a future.
It might be helpful for those who maybe haven't seen any of the Hope Explored films as yet, just to have a look at a snatch from session 1. So let's do that just for a moment just now.
Now, I don't know whether you believe that there's a God out there. Many of us like to think that there is. Or at the very least, we hope that there's something more than our material universe, some bigger reality that makes sense of the story of life on earth. But if there is a God out there, it would be great if he proved it. And the claim of the Bible is, he has. The Bible says that 2,000 years ago, someone showed up who was that person God had promised through Isaiah to send. The wonderful counselor, mighty God, everlasting Father, Prince of Peace, came to earth. And that turning point in history can give us hope today.
So Hope Explored has been out since the very beginning of January, which means that the super organised have already been able to run a Hope Explored course. And one such is Fran Ridgway, who's out at Euston Church, which is right in the student area in the centre of London. So we went out to see Fran last week and found out how she was getting on.
Hi, I'm Fran. I'm one of the women's workers over at Euston Church, and we're based right on the UCL campus. So as you can imagine, we're a church family that are full of students, but also we have lots of young workers and families that join us as well. We offered Hope Explored as an introduction to the Christian faith. We advertised it as part of our carol services, so it very much was a first step for people to look into the claims of Jesus. One of the reasons we chose Hope Explored was actually for its length. We found that a short 3-week course is a very attractive offer for busy London working people. It's also not too scary as a time commitment if you're just investigating the claims of Jesus. We also love the fact that it gets into the Bible very quickly, we got into the gospel very quickly, and we got into the person of Jesus very quickly. We've had 6 non-Christians who have joined us this time for Hope Explored, and each of them have actually come along with a Christian friend or colleague, and that's actually really helped the course to run smoothly. And also some of them have met for dinner beforehand in somebody's house and then all joined on Zoom together. And that's just meant that even though we've been online, it's felt very informal, it's felt very relaxed, and actually it's felt very personal as people have sort of been eating and drinking and sharing snacks over Zoom as well. One of the biggest highlights and the biggest encouragements has been how people have really engaged with Luke's gospel itself. We've also found that the starter questions have been a real help in breaking the ice and helping people to feel comfortable with talking to each other. And so we'd love you to be praying for us as a church family over at Euston. Please do pray for our guests who've come along to Hope Explored. Pray that the Lord would continue to be at work in them, to help them to keep reflecting on the truths that they've heard. Do pray for our church family, for those who have invited friends and colleagues along. Pray that they would know how to keep chatting to their friends about Jesus, that they might come to know Jesus and have a lifelong relationship with him.
Well, how encouraging is that? Absolutely tremendous. And Christine Armstrong is another of the phenomenally super organized. Christine's on the staff team here. She's one of the evangelist team at All Souls. And Christine, you've just finished your first Hope Explored. How did that go?
Thanks. It seemed to go well, Craig. We've actually been running Hope Explored as a pilot here over the last few years. So it was really exciting for us to have the new videos and new material to run for the first time. Brilliant. And we were really encouraged to see people who had come to Christmas services come along to Hope Explored.
Fantastic. And I know that just on, was it Monday night, you began your new Christianity Explored in person and online. Have you managed to see some people transition from Hope Explored onto see? You have?
Yeah, it's been great to see some people come back for Christianity Explored, even though we only had 1 week break. But yeah, some people have come back because they did Hope Explored and they wanted to keep investigating.
Fantastic. Christine. No, you're a real practitioner. You're in the trenches with us in the work of the gospel, which is such an encouragement always. And that's why I guess we thought you were the ideal person to present the training material on Hope Explored. Tell us a little bit. Is it 4 films you've produced? Tell us a little bit about the content of them. What are they like?
Well, again, I can't take any credit for the content itself because Ali wrote that.
Ali Gledhill again.
I had the easy job of just presenting it. But yeah, there's 4 videos. They're 6 minutes each. And the first video is an introduction to the basic structure of the series. And the key to that is, as Rico said, the 3 F's. So felt, needs, facts, and fulfillment. And then there's a video on each of the other 3 sessions, just to help leaders like me to kind of get a summary of the different sections in the session and the key points and takeaways as well.
Fantastic. Now, we don't want anybody looking at the films during Love, Live, Tell, but if they did, when they want to go home, have a look at them, how do they access them, Christine?
So you just need to log into the leaders area of the Christianity Explored Ministries website, and they're under the Hope Explored section.
Fantastic.
Brilliant. So do go and find them there. Christine has done a brilliant job for us. So before we just wrap up on Hope Explored, Rico, tell us, how would you like us to be praying for Hope Explored in the coming weeks?
I think COVID has changed the world. It's changed where we're at. And just pray for courage. Pray that people will have courage to run it, and pray they'll have courage to ask people. There's no question 3 weeks is a much easier ask. But it's interesting in the Acts of the Apostles, the prayer is for boldness. So we've exhausted ourselves to get this resource out. We couldn't have done it without your help. Thank you so much. But pray people will then use it and then invite. And, that's always a battle, isn't it? I always think evangelism needs the most help in any church because it's the hardest thing. It's a hard thing to be rejected and ask people, but others come to faith and it's glorious. So just pray churches will have courage to run it.
Well, that's been great, really helpful input. Thank you, Rico. Thank you, Christine. Lovely to have you. Thanks, Phil.
Jesus invites you to be part of the great story of what he has done, is doing, and will do. That's not just Hope Explored. That's
hope fulfilled.
We wanted to take an opportunity this evening to say something about the work of our ambassadors network. And you'll see that Andy Nash has joined us here on the stage. I'm not sure whether I should call you Mr. Ambassador or Nashers, or which is a very affectionate name, nothing to do with his dental arrangements. That's actually his name. Or the Nash Monster, is your online name as well?
Nash Monster.
Nash Monster. You can ask him more about that at the end. Let's take the middle row. Let's just call you Andy. Andy, when we think of the word ambassador, what is the work, essentially, of a CEM ambassador?
Well, we have the privilege of using the resources ourselves, and then we want to tell others about it. So that's really what we do as ambassadors. We go to all our mates and ministers in the local area, and we tell them what the resources are. So that's the introduction. It's training people, helping people in the local area use the resources, and encouraging, how we need to encourage each other. So there's that side, and you can do that locally or at conferences. I'm part of the Association of Evangelists, and I have the privilege of having a table there and telling people about what great resources Christianity Explored gives. So there's that side. The other side is developing and being involved with that. So piloting Hope Explored and piloting Christianity Explored Illustrated. And I just can't wait for these guys to get that resource out, so that the many people who can't read can actually engage with the gospel and hear about Jesus Christ.
That's fantastic. So it's a very central role to everything we do, and these sisters and brothers are throughout the UK and further afield serving in that capacity. And you would see from that photograph there of Andy that he also was pushing the Word One-to-One ministry as well, which we're thrilled about, and very much want to uphold that and thank the Lord for it. Now, Andy, you're a busy guy. You've got so many ministry demands on your plate. Is this another pressure for you, being an ambassador? Please get the answer to that right as we
No, because when you discover something really helpful for getting the gospel out, you want everyone else to share in it, don't you?
Yeah.
And so it's a joy. It really is a joy. And we've spoken about it already. You're part of a big team of people, brothers and sisters involved in the work. We got such a great training director. Craig can pay me later. But you're part of a big team. You're part of something big, and you're seeing people come to know the Lord Jesus, and that's where it's all about. So no, it's not a burden at all.
Well, your comment about the training director definitely got a laugh. So thank you for that, and thank you everybody for laughing. Andy, if someone was here tonight and maybe they had a real passion for Christianity Explored and thought, there's a thing I could be involved in, regionally somewhere in the UK, maybe someone in early life or in midlife or in early retirement, or someone from a business background, someone with strategic interests, someone from a gospel ministry background, what encouragement would you give them to think about this work?
I'd say, just if you're thinking about this, go for it. If you've got a mouth, go for it, okay? Look, guys, we all know we're here. The world is lost without Christ. We've got to get on board with these sorts of things. And please, if you're thinking about it, speak to the team. We're all different, aren't we? And some of us are shy, and some of us are loud, and some of us have different skills. Speak to the team. Let them decide how you can fit in. But please get involved.
Fantastic. Andy and Robin Turton and Phil and I are going to be around at the end. Please do come and talk to us. There's also in your pack, in your seat, a little leaflet about joining our ambassadors. Do think about that, and we'd love to hear from you and answer any questions that you may have. Another great way that you can assist us is just to encourage you to keep registering your series. When you're beginning a series, whichever one of the CE family it is, please go to the website. If you look at the main link tonight, all the points of contact and action points arising from tonight. There are going to be links on ceministries.org/love-live-tell LLT 2022, and you'll find links there for all these things. And if you want to know how do I register my course, that's where to go. But it's a super help for us if when you're running the material, you just register your course. It means that your course is geographically identifiable. Someone looking for something in your area will find your course, and that way we can just keep in touch. So we'd love you to do that, and no salesman will call. I can assure you of that. Andy, thank you so much. Great to have you, brother. Back to you, Kay.
Thanks, Craig. Right, and thank you so much, Andy. It has been such a pleasure to get to know the ambassadors over the past few months. So do sign up for that if you are in any way think you'd be interested. Talking of feedback from the ambassadors, it is nearly time to consult the Love, Live, Tell Hive Mind. But before we do that, before we do our live poll, I'm going to ask Dave Corns to come up. Now, Dave is our Associate Youth Evangelist. So, Dave, tell me about you and tell us about what you're doing for Christianity Explored Ministries.
Yeah, good evening. My name's Dave. I'm a follower of Jesus and husband to Kat at the back. And for most of my time, I work at St. James Muswell Hill, which is also your
Just
church,
so happens
Kay.
to be.
Kay is actually my home group leader, which is a bit weird. So I work 4 days a week, serve at St. James Muswell Hill in North London, where I look after youth ministry, 10 to 18s. But for a day a week, I get to serve with Christianity Explored. And part of my role there, well, my only role there, is to revamp our youth materials, so for teenagers. And so, you've asked me to revamp the youth course, and that's what I'm working on at the moment, which is very exciting, to encourage young people to be disciple-making disciples.
Fantastic, thank you so much. And as part of that, so first of all, we're going to be inviting Dave back next year to find out how that's going on. As part of that work, you've been doing some research, haven't you? Tell us about that.
Yeah, so right at the start of my role, we took about 4 months to do some research on a select group of people, both youth workers and young people, because we wanted to find out and listen to young people and youth workers and see where they're at in terms of evangelism and their attitudes to lots of different areas of life. So one of the questions that we looked at is going to be up on the screen right now. This is one of the questions we asked. What are the most important things to young people? We gave them lots of different values. You can see there acceptance, the environment, fame, etc. And we asked the same question to young people, what do you think is the most important thing to you? And to youth workers, what do you think is the most important thing to young people? And here's the results. It's quite interesting. Let's go to the next. So this was for youth workers. This was their answers. It's quite a small sample size. Their number one was acceptance. You can see that, 76.7% of people, youth workers, said acceptance was the number one thing of importance to young people, followed by relationships, followed by happiness. That's interesting. And we could probably agree with that, couldn't we? But here is what young people said. And it's quite drastically different, as you can see. So the two standouts for young people were family and happiness. Very different to what the youth workers said.
Well, I'm encouraged as a parent of teens. I'm quite encouraged that family makes it onto the list there. But tell us how that kind of research can help us in product development.
Yeah, as we develop the youth resource, and I guess with wider Christianity Explored resources, we want to listen to people. And we don't want to presume that we know what the state of evangelism is or what the state of youth culture in our current day and age is like. Young people are actually seeming to be moving on from a lot of the apologetics, reasoning type thoughts and more towards the what's my purpose? How do I fit in? Where do I belong? How can I find love? They're asking questions like that. And so perhaps we need to listen to that and move this new resource to follow that desire. So we've got to listen and then we've got to act.
Thank you so much. We'll be looking forward to seeing what pans out. Please pray for Dave. It's such an important area of the work. So thank you so much, and we'll see you next year. Great, which means it's time for the live poll. So if you can get your phones out again. Jubi, come on up. Jubi, okay. Are you pumped for the live poll?
I am pumped. I do think that we think that this is perhaps more exciting than it actually
And everyone
is.
else thinks it is. I think that's quite possible.
But we are excited. We have been looking forward to this, and we want to make the most of it. So just so we know what's happening, basically, we have 3 questions for you, our supporters. And basically, we want to know how you see the evangelism scene. And also how we can help you better, how we can serve you better in evangelism. We have 3 questions. And just as a reminder to everyone here, your answers are anonymous. Isn't that good? Your name is not going to pop up on the screen. So, and the second thing, you can find our live poll, just as a reminder, going to slido.com using this code provided, the code provided, or you can take up your phone and scan that code right there with your camera. Now, the same is true for the online audience. We didn't forget you. My wife is probably watching this. Yes? Are you watching this? Are we ready for our first question?
I think we are. So the first question, we want to take the temperature of the room about how you are finding evangelism personally. Like, how is it? How easy are you finding it? We've had a turbulent couple of years. We want to know how that's affected you in terms of your evangelism.
So, first question. First question. Okay. So in 2021, how open were your non-Christian friends and family to conversations about Christian faith? And we can see this is a live poll. It's alive. The results are changing as we speak. Isn't this fascinating?
That's interesting. If you're struggling with your tech, we do have some stewards who can help you find the site. Or if you're sitting next to somebody who clearly isn't struggling, you can ask them, because we're all very nice and love LiveTel. So, is that it? I think we're stabilising. But clearly, Phil, we can close it. Thank you. But clearly, more open than before has won, which is very exciting.
This is very encouraging. Thank you for answering.
So just one thing I would say at this point, first of all, I'm very encouraged that more open than before that's how you're finding your friends and family. I would love to commend to you at this stage the resources, the training on evangelism that are available from A Passion for Life. They have some fairly new training resources that they have put up, and their website is apassionforlife.org.uk. And so whether you're finding your friends and family are more open and you want to take advantage of that, or you're one of the people in the actually we're struggling and finding it harder category. There's some great resources, so we would commend those.
Are we ready for the second question?
Let's move to the second question. So the second question, we're going to widen the focus a little bit, and we're going to ask you about your churches and what they're doing at the moment.
So here it is. So far in 2022, which of the following statements apply to your church? And you can tick all that apply. My church is planning to run Hope Explored. My church is planning to run an evangelistic course or event. My church has run another CEM series, Christianity Explored Ministries series, or none of the above. Look at that.
So we'll give it a moment just to stabilize, but it looks like, okay, great, Phil, that's fine. We can close that. Thank you very much, everybody.
How encouraging is this? Oh, this is very encouraging. Yes, let's freeze it right there. Stop it right there. This is so good. We are so thankful that churches are already running Hope Explored.
And I think if you're one of those churches that's already run Hope Explored, then don't forget that it's like Christine was saying, it's great to continue on, ask people to continue on and consider running Christianity Explored or Life Explored or one of the other courses. But thank you very much.
Now, question 3 is the most exciting question in this live poll. If you were not excited about it so far, here is your opportunity. It's a word cloud question. So, and the idea is, if you find a word that you wanted to use and it's already there, that's the point. Write it again, copy that word, because that's going to upvote the word, and it's going to get bigger, and your word is going to win. So that's the point about a word cloud, but we also want more words in that cloud as well.
So Phil, do you want to put the question up?
Oh, that's the question. What do you find helpful about Christianity Explored Ministries resources. Oh, Jubi. Oh, yes. Let's freeze the results right now. This is good. Thank you very much for participating. This is so okay. This is a bit awkward now.
Wow, somebody made Jubi feel awkward like that, so that's quite a feat. I'm slightly nervous that this question does sound a little bit like we're fishing for compliments. And the reasoning behind it is, it comes back to what I was saying earlier about, we don't want to move away from what our core users find helpful. Like that's a really important thing for us. In order to do that, we need to know what you find helpful. We're a bit fishing for compliments, but generally that was the reasoning behind it. So let's just give this one a minute. So that's fantastic.
Now, I'm sure Ellie is involved in this.
I can see Kay.
Typing
it's
my
nice
name.
to know my husband's participating.
It's you, I know
Thank
it's you doing this. No, but this is a very nice cloud. It's a fluffy cloud, isn't it? It has many, many words that we can digest here. I think we should stop right there.
Yeah. Great. Phil, why don't we'll halt it there. Thank you so much for participating. I hope that you found that fun. We certainly found it fun. I did. Jubi really found it fun. But it does have a sort of a serious message behind it as well, which is that we need to know from you. We need your wisdom. We need to understand your experiences. And so we'll be coming back to you through 2022 to ask for more feedback. We'll be sending out a survey later in the year. There's also, I'm keen to have one-on-one conversations with as many people as possible, including live stream people. I've already had some with the ambassadors and some people who use our resources. They're so useful. If you would be willing to talk to me for half an hour on Zoom, there is an email address we have set up, which quite cringily is talktokay@christianityexplored.org. If you would be willing to talk to Kay, please drop me an email and I'll set up a Zoom call with you and hear about your experiences of Christianity Explored. So we're going to wrap that up, and I'm going to hand over to Craig and Ian, who are rather more sensibly going to talk about what's been happening with Christianity Explored Ministries around the world.
Thank you so much, Kay and Jubi. I think we might have witnessed the birth of a new ministry tonight. Live polls at All Souls. I mean, I think that's got a ring to it. Helping you live, love, and text the good news. Well, just to confirm, the voting is now closed. If you continue to vote, your vote will not be counted, but you may be charged. And that's a Scotsman's nightmare, so let's not do that. As we think now about the international things, it's a little bit like switching from... It feels like we're switching from the last night on Britain's Got Talent to Newsnight or something like that. But we've got interesting things to say. And we'd love you just to stay with us and focus with us as we come to this part of our evening. We've talked so much about the UK work so far and about the emphasis of the ongoing work, obviously, here in the UK. CE was born and bred in Britain and has served the rest of the world off the back of that, and we will always continue, by the grace of God, to continue to serve here. But 90% of our work is international. 90% of what we do is happening overseas. And you heard at the beginning Ian say, by way of introduction, that we've restructured things, and as well as having Kay now running the UK team, we have an international team. So Ian, as our boss, you now effectively have a new job this year. How's it going?
Yeah, it's strange really, because I'm still called the chief executive, but I suddenly realised in about May, June time that actually my job had entirely changed. So it's going well. Yeah. I mean, basically, Kay's come in and hit the ground running and taken all my all the things that used to preoccupy me. She's now got them, and so it's just left all of us free, I think, really, just to do the things that we've really wanted to do for a long time, but just not had the spare space to do it. So we want to be proactive on what we're doing internationally rather than reactive, because the UK is the engine room clearly for what we do. But as you say, the 90% statistic, which I was staggered when I worked that out a few years ago, but it may well be more than 90%. And it's so difficult to evaluate, but probably I would say, when, in my estimation, when the annals of history are written, that actually you'll look at what's gone on internationally with Christianity Explored and say that has been, the most strategic stuff of what we've done. So the really, really significant things, I mean, everything's significant, but there's some amazing stuff happening thousands of miles away from here, and it's, bewildering to think that's true.
Well, Ian's a trained accountant. We trust him on the statistical analysis. Ian, who's on the international team?
I think the qualification is you have to have been around with us for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So Luann is our baby, and she's been around for at least 10 years. And then there's Craig on the training side. Luann's the operations side, lots of the translations. There's myself, and then there's Steve James, who's not here this evening. He's our prisons guy, and also doing the illustrated courses, which you heard about. He's down in Swansea this evening.
Fantastic. It might be helpful, Ian, if you can just give us a little snapshot about some of the personnel changes that have been happening globally over this last year or so.
Yeah, we've sort of, I guess, established two, what you almost call it hubs of operations. So just to sort of help us as we spread out across the globe. So a long, long way over there is America. And we've had an organization in America for well over 10 years now, actually. And our first executive director, Alan Avera, he retired this last year. And very sadly, our Western region director, Kevin Allen, lost the battle with cancer, so we felt his loss really keenly. But we have a new US executive director whose picture should be coming up, Lori-Ann Merritt. So she joined us in the summer, and she's working alongside Lauren, who's our communications manager over there. And you see, the thing with the States is it's not just helping American churches use the resources, although that's very important, but America's such a base for global ministry. So there's so many partnerships that we're striking up with organizations based in America. So it's a really key place to have some boots on the ground, if you like. And also, as well as a base into Latin America. It's much easier to reach down into Latin America from North America than over here. So for those reasons, we really need to be working hand in glove with people who are out there in the States. So that's the aim. I'm now on the American board as well, with the idea of bringing us closer together in that. So that's development, if you like, in America. And then a long way over there is Asia, the other side of the world. And we've probably developed there slower than in other places, but actually quite quickly over the last 3 or 4 years, things have moved on. And so we've had some good trips to Malaysia recently, and we took on at the beginning of 2021 our first national director in Malaysia. And you can see in there, that's Tim Phillips. Doesn't look very Malaysian, you can tell, but he's married to a Malaysian. He's been out there for a number of years. He was working on staff in a church in Kuala Lumpur. So as I say, he joined us just over 12 months ago for Malaysia. And then we also have one of our own, Stephen Ho. He looks a little bit like a James Bond villain in that picture, I think. He's not that scary in reality, and he's actually here tonight. So just, Stephen, do you want to stand up and show us you're not quite as scary as that? So Stephen and Peace originated from Singapore, and goes back there quite a lot. He thought he'd retired a few years ago. And we twisted his arm and twisted it harder and twisted it harder. And we persuaded him that it would be a good idea if he helped us develop a ministry in Singapore. So that's part of what he's doing. But he's also working alongside Tim to help Tim through. Out of Singapore, we now have a Vietnamese translation, which is out just about now. You saw on the video earlier on, you had Katie, who's out in Hong Kong, although coming back here. She's helped do a Mandarin dubbing out there. And then you saw Yongshin as well, who's up in Seoul. So we've very different from America. You have these different bits and pieces all clustered around this huge thing, which is China. But we're just developing all these networks and pulling them all together. So those are the sort of geographic hubs that we're.
And in terms of, I mean, we're all about building strong relationships with like-minded gospel organizations across the world. Would there be a couple that you would want to highlight in terms of particularly being on your mind at the moment?
Well, the whole point is we're a tiny team, and we can only work in partnership with like-minded ministries. So that is our sole aim, really, to do that. And I guess the biggest partnership we've had is with Prison Fellowship International. So that's been going for 7 or 8 years now. And the staggering figure in that is that over 500,000 people in prisons around the world have gone through the Christianity Explored course in over 40 countries. I remember when they first came across and they had this target, we thought, nah, they won't do that. But they've not only done it, and it's going and going and going. So that is amazing. But we've never really had the opportunity, found the resource, if you like, to actually work alongside them to develop the church course in those 40-plus countries. So now, they've always wanted us to do that, but now we want to take advantage of that. The first place we were going to try and do that was Ukraine in April, so that's proving obviously a little bit difficult at the moment. But that's one big area we can develop in. Another one, again, it sounds a bit silly really, but the Good Book Company. We've been working with them to do translations with Elizabeth Parsons for many years now. But we've never actually got our heads together and said, well, who do you know here? and so Tim Thornborough, who is there, he's been traveling a lot more recently. And so we literally have started doing that, just saying, well, who do you know in places? And actually there's one country we probably shouldn't name where it is, but there are 3 different people who we've brought together who are really excited about doing what can be a very strategic translation for us. So, and you could quote so many others, but those are 2 probably that just off the top of my head. But,
Ian, that's great. Thank you so much, and we'll hear from you again in a few moments. But as we begin to wrap the evening up, we wanted to focus on another of these mature partnerships, gospel partnerships that we have across the world. And the one that we're going to focus on as we close this evening is LSESD, the Lebanese Society for Educational and Social Development. Founded in 1998, they have a holistic approach to evangelism. They believe in strengthening the local church in the gospel and serving the community with the gospel. And we thought it might be an encouragement to us here at Love, Live, Tell this year, and those who are watching as well, especially just as we emerge out of COVID. So many people in the Western world, and particularly throughout the UK, are feeling pretty battered and exhausted with the kind of relentless hassles and struggles and setbacks we've had over the last couple of years. So we thought it might be an encouragement for us, for you to be encouraged and strengthened in the way that we have been by the remarkable tenacity of our brothers and sisters based in Beirut, Lebanon. And if I mentioned Lebanon to you tonight, you probably, if you know anything about it, you know, for example, that many of their essential buildings and basic infrastructure has not been restored since the terrible explosion in August of 2020. Their hospitals are currently literally overflowing with people struggling desperately with COVID. Due to rampant inflation, their currency is worth less than 1/5 of what it was a couple of years ago. And yet, they continue to serve the Lord and his gospel with unrelenting cheerfulness and determination. Now, you may hear these statistics and that little analysis of life in Lebanon and say, well, what possible use is a partnership with Christianity Explored Ministries in a situation like that? Well, be encouraged and inspired by this short presentation, and then Ian will come back and wrap things up. Have a look at this.
Only 20 years ago, there were only a few hundred followers of Christ in the MENA region. Now we're seeing miraculous growth, even in times of war and crisis. In light of these changes, there is a critical need for discipleship training and spiritual resources for both new and mature believers alike. Our vision is to see a transformed Arab world through a holistic understanding of the gospel. In this, we found an ideal partner in Christianity Explored.
دايما احنا بحاجة لمنهاج التلمذة، دايما بحاجة انه كيف ونكون عم نتلمذ أشخاص وعم نعدهم يكونوا تلاميذ للمسيح، وهن كمان يكونوا عم بيصنعوا تلاميذ آخرين. ومنصلي إنه الرب يبارككم، وكمان إنه هالمنهاج يكون بركة أكثر وأكثر بهالمنطقة، منطقة شمال أفريقيا والشرق الأوسط. شكرا كثير.
Christianity Explored had changed my life totally. The journey through Mark opened my eyes to the real meaning of being a believer in Jesus Christ with logical evidence. And now we teach Bible in a better way, and no one can destabilize our beliefs.
ما كانش فيها أمور لاهوتية عظيمة جدا بتتقدم بشكل اللي هو أكاديمي قوي وحاجات صعبة قوي، لكن كانت الأمور اللاهوتية العظيمة فعلا كانت موجودة، بس كانت بتتقدم بطريقة بسيطة تساعدني كمان إن أنا أقدمها بطريقة بسيطة تساعد الأشخاص اللي أنا بتعامل معاهم واللي بيكونوا معايا في الكنيسة المحلية بتاعتي.
شارك بالمؤتمر حوالي 40 شاب وشابة. كانت دراسة رائعة ومفيدة للكتار، خاصة إنها منظمة وواضحة وفيها أسئلة عملية وموجهة ساعدت الشبيبة على فهم هويتهم، مين هو المسيح ورسالته، وليش الصليب والقيامة، وكيف فيهم يعيشوا بالنعمة. شكر كبير للرب أولاً ولكل من ساهم بإيصال هالكتاب القيم لنا.
نهتم بمغدوشي بالتعاون بين أبرشيد صيدا اللي برئاسة مطران إلي حداد، اللي جاب حوالي 40 كاهن من أبرشيته حتى يتمرسوا على الوعظ ومنهجية الوعظ انطلاقا من إنجيل القديس مرقس، بالتعاون مع الجمعية المعمدانية، وتسليط الضوء على أهمية الرجوع إلى الكتاب المقدس والتمسك والرجاء بيسوع المسيح والكلمة المكتوبة.
So the problem is when you go and stick to the tradition and to the ceremonies, okay, and forget about the essence. So this is what I like, you know, being close to Nabil and to Baptist community. This has brought me personally back into the track.
These training workshops we have done and that we will do in the future with Christianity Explored will help every believer in his personal growth and in his mission to spread the gospel, so that each person will discover who Jesus is, his message, and so that many will experience God's great love and his precious salvation.
Over the years, God has taught us that proclaiming the gospel goes hand in hand with demonstrating the gospel too. We have learned to restore hope to the vulnerable and marginalized through extending mercy, love, and compassion in the name of Jesus. We do this in an integrated, holistic approach made possible through the 6 different ministries of LSESD. Together, they form 3 tracks: equipping the church, inclusive education, relief, and community development. Throughout our history as LSESD, we have been keen to remain relevant and effective to both church and community. And so we constantly had to adapt to changing social and economic landscapes and respond to emerging needs. Our hope that through our partnerships, people can come to know the deep and abiding love of Jesus Christ. Thank you so much for partnering with us. God bless you all.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see that. I had the privilege of being out there in 2017 when we launched the Arabic version, and it's been heartbreaking to see how the struggles they've had in Lebanon since then. They never had it easy out there. It's been a succession of difficulties they've had to face, and now even worse. And yet, the amazing thing is when you see that, that God is still at work there. And it's just wonderful to be able to realise that is true. Okay, well, we're going to we're drawing to a close now. So just a few final words from me before I just want to hand over to Rico to do one final thing and then finally put us to a close. The first thing I want to say is just thank you so much again for being here, whether you be here in person or online. It's just great to know that so many of you are supporting us in the ministry, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you for being with us, and thank you so much for all your support, particularly in the last 2 years where the world's turned upside down. I hope you've seen tonight that we feel as though we've come through these 2 years in good shape, and we're very excited about the future. And it's really a team effort. I mean, you've seen a lot of the staff this evening, and obviously Andy and the ambassadors, but so many other people as well. Our ministry partners you've seen a bit of, Good Book Company, our publishers, our board of directors who've given us such good advice through so many years, and particularly those of you who use our materials. And those who give us feedback. Hopefully there'll be more people who give us feedback after tonight. But we're so thankful for that. And I guess most of all for those who pray for us, those who give financially as well. It really is a team effort. So we're so grateful for the contribution that each one of you makes to the ministry. And then the third thing I'd like to say is please continue to do what you're doing. You've seen tonight that we're taking on more people to do the things that we feel as though we're called to do. But of course that comes with a bit of a price tag. We had a board meeting a couple of hours ago, and we've got a budget deficit for the year of about £100,000. And we don't have that many people who support us in the UK. It's just over 200 or so who do that on a regular basis, and a similar sort of number in North America as well. So if you would like to support us financially. If you're here in person, then there are brochures that you should see on your seats, and they should give you details of how to do that. And if you're online, that's the catch-all link there will get you to how you can donate online. Obviously, if you need any help, then don't hesitate to ask. And also on that link there, you can sign up for our prayer list as well. I know many of you are already on our prayer list, but we'd so appreciate it if you did want to pray for the ministry and if you could sign up for that. There is also, and I've just lost it, there is a card in your seats this evening. Here you go. So if you're here tonight and you want to just say, yes, please sign up for the prayer list, sign that, give it in at the back, and we'll get you on there straight away. But online, or if you go home, that link is the one to use. So that is just about it from me, other than to say a big thank you to the people who've made tonight possible. To start with, just want to say thank you to All Souls Church, who we've been friends with and partners with for so many years. Thank you so much for letting us use your building. Thank you to the PCC. Charlie, I think the new rector, I think is here this evening. Thank you. Welcome here for the first time. And particularly those who've helped out, those who've welcomed, on the tech, Peter, Benny, thank you so much for that. Perhaps most of all to the people who haven't been able to see what's going on because they've been stuck down in the kitchen all evening. So I think they're still slaving away down there. So if you could clap loud enough just to thank them for all of that. Okay, that's it from me. Rico, come and do one more thing, and then we're gone.
The Good Book Company are offering 2 packs of Hope Explored for £30 and 5 for £50. So do just take one away with you. Again, they did so much to get it going, but if you just take that little pack away, one of the starter kits, and give it to someone, please head over there to do that. And also, for Passion for Life, we've produced Life That Lasts, these little booklet. Do take these back to your churches, have a look. We'd love them to be of great use in the mission coming up in March. So that's just some admin there. But go and get a pack and go and give it to someone to use. That'd be great to get them started. Just as I close now, we're saying goodbye to Jeremy Marshall. So Jeremy, I know you're watching online with Jeanette. Hope you are. But Jeremy joined us in 2009 on the board, and then has done 9 years as chairman, so 13 years with us. It's been amazing. Let me tell you the first lunch I had with him. I went down to Credit Suisse down in Canary Wharf, and I walked into his office, and I thought we'd be going out for a meal, but we actually stayed in, and the people on the desk were incredibly gracious and respectful with me. And then I went up in the lift, and I had this amazing meal, and then he showed me out, and I said, Jeremy, do you know, they really treated me with great deference. I don't think I've ever been to an office where they treat me like this. He looked at me and he said, yeah, Rico, only the billionaires dress as badly as you. He said, the only people that come looking like you is Abramovich comes looking like you. They think you're absolutely minted, otherwise you wouldn't dress like that. So that was a good moment. And as you can see, I've massively improved my dress since then. I've been making a real effort. But anyway, Jeremy, I just want to thank you so much, because it's been amazing working with someone who's a guy who's been in banking through his career, but theologically has done so much work. So you just absolutely trust him to know theologically why we are where we're at. And yet, just such leadership provided to fellow bankers, fellow guys in the city who trust him. I spoke to one guy and I said, how do you do your giving? And he literally said to me, oh, I just give to whatever Jeremy tells me to give to. He said, just trusted. So just that leadership. And Jeanette once said to me, Jeremy does not work 9 to 5, he works 5 to 9. So just to go on, Jeremy, to go on serving the gospel as you had when there was so much pressure in the jobs you had. I spoke to a guy who was with him at Credit Suisse, and when Jeremy left Credit Suisse, you were allowed to make a little speech. He got up and gave a gospel talk to 300 employees and actually massively offended quite a number of them. So it was just marvelous. But Jeremy, just courage, all that you've brought and your gospel heart, and done so much leadership of the church through COVID, talk after talk on how to battle through cancer. I think he gave over 100 talks at churches online, just again and again and again, getting the gospel out. So, Jeremy, we really want to thank you. Could we stand, please, just to acknowledge him and give a clap? That would just be amazing. Well done. And Jeremy, I've got a shirt for you. So I've got someone to give him the shirt. Nate, come forward. So this is Jeremy's son, who's here to receive it. I wonder if you'd unwrap it. Could you unwrap it for us? Yeah. So this is what we've given him. Nate, come forward a bit. And yeah, what's the shirt there? What is that shirt?
So it's a shirt of my beloved Watford. You know.
And the back of it,
9,
Marshall 09, when he started.
A little bit less than the amount of points we have at the moment. No, but he really, really enjoyed this. And sup, Dad? Hi. It was. I don't think he was expecting me to accept this at all, to be fair. So.
I'm always amazed by Jeremy's parents. Tell me about your grandparents and the impact they had on your father.
Oh, well. Yeah, sure. Well, it's a tough question, I guess. Well, my earliest memory, I guess, of my granddad. Would be, well, put it in perspective, a short story. My family went out for a walk and I was basically, sorry, I should have asked everyone to sit down. Basically, my whole family went out for a walk and I was left in the supervision of my father, my grandfather, who was deep in his Christian learnings. And I think he just thought, best just to leave me alone. And like my father, has an incredible ability to hyper-focus on whatever he has in hand. Like myself, actually. What I guess he didn't realize was while he was trying to create some great sermon, I was trying to create a Sistine Chapel in the background with a bunch of crayons and markers. Ended up having my dad return to, basically the whole house ruined. While my grandfather, deep in the book, was like, oh, yeah, Nat's been an absolute dream, He hasn't done anything to look around, and obviously seeing just the house is absolutely plastered with well, I'd say, quite nice graffiti, but...
And tell me, what holidays did your grandfather take your father on? Where did he take him on holiday?
Well, my dad would love to tell you of the Bible smuggling through communist Russia. That was the classic stories and tropes, which, to be fair, my dad, even though I'm not sure how much he knew at the time when he was being smuggled through, but looking back on it, he has really high regards of those trips.
Anyway, there we are. So, Jeremy, you'll have to put the shirt on. Jeanette, thank you so much for supporting him and releasing him, and we'll send that down there. Now, Nat, you work in an art gallery, don't you?
Yeah.
So, where can people go to buy a picture? Just tell us quick. Let's do an advert for this. Where can
I don't want to do a plug, but I work in Covent Garden, just in the White Wall, so it's about 20 minutes down the road.
And what's it called, the gallery?
Oh, it's called White Wall.
White Wall. White Wall Gallery. Great.
Yeah.
So go and support him, everyone. That would be great. Thanks so much. Just as we close, at Christianity Explored, we could not function without All Souls and their help. I see a number of the congregation here. Thank you so much for being a wonderful church family to my family and I. We are so humbled to have your help. And again, just year after year, enabling us to work out how to serve the world with these products we put together. But it's lovely to invite my new boss, Charlie Skrine, to come up. Now, Charlie ran Christianity Explored at St. Helens for 3 years, so it's been amazing to have a boss who really understands what it is to lead the evangelism in their church. And so, Charlie, thank you so much for that experience you've had here and also all the support you give us. If you'd close in prayer, that'd be great.
Yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, so Kay was asked when the Christianity Explored journey began for her. For me, it was, I think it's 20 years ago next year with Kev Murdoch. Where's Kev? Teaching me how to do that, and running 4 courses a year was just such a beginning in the power of the gospel and in how to do ministry. So we're so grateful. Thank you for Rico, and mostly thank you for Rico, and thank you for being here tonight. We're so glad you're here. I'm going to read a verse and then pray. Jesus, he was chosen before the creation of the world, but was revealed in these last times for your sake. Through him you believe in God, who raised him from the dead and glorified him. And so your faith and hope are in God. Dear Father, we thank you for the Lord Jesus, chosen, revealed and raised and glorified. Thank you for the team at Christianity Explored. Thank you for the partnerships around the world. And thank you for the way you're using Christianity Explored to present Jesus to a world without hope. And we cry out now, Father, for boldness in us and for new believers across the globe, that they would join us with our faith and our hope in God. In Jesus' glorious name, amen.
Thanks so much for your time. It is so good to see you in person. Thank you for those who joined online. Please head over and get some box sets of Hope Explored to give to friends and pick up some free leaflets, again, for Passion for Life. Lovely to have you.